Hello, and welcome to my universe. But today, I should be finishing this. I also realized at the end of last time, I forgot to turn on one of my filters, so it was a little bit less purple. But you know what? That's okay, because I'm turning it off again here. The only thing I have left to do is just some of this sky stuff happening back there, and I don't think I could quite leave it like this and be happy, but I don't think it needs that much work, so I'm probably going to have a fair amount of time. So, I'm probably just going to be able to do a bunch of unscripted rambling today, but first, let's go ahead and finish this off. What was the first thing I wanted to do again? Oh, right. I was looking at Leia herself a little bit today, and I realized that I think her eyes were a little bit uneven. So let's go ahead and fix that first. There's been something bothering me about her face for a long time. I'm not sure if that's it, but I'll start there. Sounds good to me. That probably means I'm going to have to move the blush a little bit too, which does tend to be a problem with how I make it, but I might have to redraw it. We'll see how it works out. Let's see. I'm also trying to place it relative to the nose, so it's possible I might have to move this one a little bit too. But I just want to get those bottom lashes like that. They shouldn't be in a straight line since her head is tilted this way, but it should be pretty close. There we go. And then where is that little blush light? Okay, good. I did put it on a separate layer on this one. Most of the time I do, sometimes I don't. Okay, now let's see if I can adjust the blush without hating life. Okay, I can. We're good. I put the lips on a separate layer, so worked out. Okay. So I think that helped a little bit. Let me see. Let's go flip the canvas and make sure that I'm happy with that. Not quite, honestly. I have a thought on how to fix it, though. And I actually do think that the eyes here might be why certain things just felt a little bit off. Let's bring this eye a little further over. And right now, I'm just kind of praying that nothing looks too weird. It looks like I'm going to have to adjust the light a little bit. That's okay. I can do that, as always. With that change, I kind of want to push the glasses over just a touch, which does mean I will have to adjust the shadows on her face, which is unfortunate, but I'm looking at it relative to the nose. Do I want these over a little bit? No, I don't actually think I do. Okay. This is fine. Yeah, I think it's fine. Okay. My initial instinct was like that, but I forget that these things are huge and circular, and so they're going to sit on her head a little bit differently. I think it's fine. All right. Oh god, am I going to be able to move that? You know what? I'm not even going to try. Instead of doing that, I'm just going to go select the hair, select the inverse, erase on the eyes, and redraw it. So this does mean I will have to get the color again. So we're just doing some small corrections until it is time to go in and do the rest of the background. Like I said, I think the background's going to be pretty easy. It's all just clouds, and with clouds you can kind of do whatever you want and it looks like a cloud. So it should be nice and straightforward to draw. So let's get her face looking as nice as I can get it. How do I feel about your face? Like I said, there's been a few things bothering me about her face for a while. I never really mentioned it because I couldn't place what it was. But I have a chance to kind of make things a little bit better. And I do think that the face is by far the most important part. So it's worth taking a little bit of extra time for it. This, once again, means I'm gonna have to adjust the lighting. You know what? Let me hide the lighting for just a second here, just so I can make sure that her chin is lining up good. And that her cheeks are cute, and things like that. No, I think it looked better before. Okay. Let me hide her hair for just a second. Like I said, you know, it's just one of those little things where it's just something feels a little bit wrong and I don't know what it is. I had largely been ignoring it because, like, what's the point of talking a bunch about things I don't understand? Although, frankly, I have noticed that sometimes talking about things when I don't quite know what's wrong has been extremely effective in helping me figure out what's wrong, so you know what? Maybe I should use the chat as a rubber ducky. Just a nice little thing to try to explain my problems to. Yeah, sure. That's probably a good idea. It's been working. So you know what? Maybe next time I'll do that, so this way I'm not just here messing with the face at the very end. I'm probably gonna need to redo the highlights again. That's okay. How do I feel about the location of the mouth? No, I think the mouth is fine. At most, I could probably tuck this side in a little bit more. But I say I think it's okay, but I don't know. Maybe we'll take another look at it. Where is... Oh no, you're not on a different layer. Okay. And yet you still look fine like that. I am surprised. Okay. Well, let's see if I can do this without destroying everything. I'm not sure if I can. Oh, I can. Awesome. Yeah, that's a little bit better. How do I feel better? The cheeks and the chin. How do I feel about the cheeks and the chin? That's a good question. I'm gonna hide the hair again and take a look. I never draw it like 100%. Sometimes I do at the very beginning if I'm struggling with proportions. But you can see here, like, she has no head. There's nothing in there. And, it's covered by hair, so it's fine. Something about her also looks a little bit sad. I don't know, she doesn't look very sad when I have her hair turned on, so it's probably just because her eyebrows are in pieces. So I'm not gonna worry about it. I just kind of want to trim down that cheek a little. I think it's a little bit puffy. This is supposed to be one of those nice little gentle smiles. It shouldn't be forcing her cheeks up or anything. I draw some big smiles. But this is not one of them, and I think that's pretty good. So we'll go turn her hair back on. How do I feel about the face now? Right here still feels wrong. Alright, back to the eyes. Okay, this feels alright. This actually does feel a lot better. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, I didn't move anything very much, but I do think that people are very attuned to faces, so even things being a little bit off can make things feel very strange. So, unfortunately, this does mean I'm going to have to fix the light in a few places. I think I still have the color picked, though, so here we go. I'll just fix it again, it's fine. Okay. So basically all I did here was I selected her hair, and then I selected the inverse, Control-Shift-I, so that'll invert the selection, and now I can draw out her face pretty freely. I don't have to fix that much, but let's see. I think I would also like to fix this blush on her lip. Gonna liquefy it out a bit. Okay, I'm gonna deselect there. I just want to pull it out toward the corner of her mouth here. Some of it did get a little bit mixed up in all the movement. There we go, that's better. This is one of those, just, face is important. So, I like to take a little bit of extra time for it. And then I just had this little highlight over here. On the side of her lip here. I think I had it a bit more subtle before, but it's okay. I'll see how this looks. I'll pare it back as necessary. Okay, yeah, I gotta pare that back a little. It stands out just a bit too much. Does it? Do I want some of the upper lip too, maybe? No. But I do think that this actually looks pretty alright. Yeah, it actually makes her lips look a little shinier. Okay, I'll take it. And, there we go. I think that's where I will leave that. I think her eyebrows are a little high now. Maybe that's why she looks a little sad. Okay, so I'll move those around real quick. Make it look the way I want. Try to make it look like her eyebrows aren't going out into the stratosphere and she's just looking very surprised. we just want some nice little happy eyebrows. There we go. Okay, yeah, I think it looks like she's smiling with her eyes and not just her mouth. So, yeah, I think I can be happy with that. Now I can move to the background as initially planned. So let's see, goals for the background. So first I have these little stars. Second, I have the little clouds. And then the third is I have all these little golden stars. I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna fix those yet, but the main thing is, okay. I was gonna say I didn't pan. I didn't actually draw anywhere, did I? And I did not. So, the big thing, when I look at the sky here, from this distance, it's mostly fine. I do want to clean up these little shiny stars. I think they're a little blobby, even from this far. But everything else, I think that the clouds are a little misty from this distance, but they don't look too bad. But I tend to do my drawings from two distances. One, fully zoomed out. My monitor's pretty big, so my fully zoomed out is somewhere around here. So this is going to be closer to what people see when I post it on Twitter and the like, right? But if people like it, sometimes they'll zoom in and look at the details. So I do like to make sure those look good. And so I zoom into 100%. And it does not quite hold up at 100% here in the background. Like, I think the planet looks fantastic at 100%. Because I finished that part, these clouds look pretty good at 100%. And everything else I've done. But that tends to be how I operate. I like to make sure it looks good when I zoom out. I like to make sure it looks good when I zoom in. I only care about 100% though. If I have to zoom into 400% to see a problem, I am trying too hard. Nobody cares about what it looks like at 400%. And anyone that zooms in to 400% to point out problems is being a jerk. So, they deserve to be ignored. But yeah, so that does tend to be how I operate. So, first things first, I think that the moon here, I think I want to do one more thing with it. It's going to be quick, or the sun, excuse me. That's right, it's a sun, not a moon. Look, they're close, right? One you orbit, the other orbits you. It's fine. Whoops, duplicate, there we go. And I just want to put a tiny bit of blur around that. It'll make it look a little bit brighter. There we go. Just that. So the difference. That's it. Okay. And now I think the sun is perfect. So let's get those little stars. Or I guess the bigger ones. Not the biggest one, just the bigger ones. Where are they? Bright stars. Here we are. Oh, no, okay. Special stars. There we go. That's what I called. Sure thing. Do I like their color? Yeah, it looks like I'm using solid white. I think I'm gonna change that. I'm not going to do anything too special here. In fact, I think rather than clean that up, I am just going to draw them over there. I have their glows to tell me where to put them, so I'm just going to go ahead and draw them here. I'll keep using white for just a little longer. So one of the common early bits of art advice that I see people give a lot is never to use white or black for shading. Naturally, I break this rule a lot, and I think it's fine. But unless you're doing something with it deliberately, I think it's pretty solid. I do. So I don't really want to use solid white for this. But it's fine for a placeholder for now. It is totally fine. But once I have them in place, it is time to fix it. It is time. I just want to add a little tiny glow there. Nothing special. But I think this kind of shape will look nice for little distant stars. Okay. So now I just go place them. Looks like I didn't actually make it quite big enough. Oh, well, that's okay. Making it just a little bigger shouldn't destroy the quality. I'm gonna tilt this one a little bit because I can. Okay. So there we go. I got my little special stars. Let's go change their colors now. They're gonna be pretty close to white, but I'm gonna make this one just a little bit more purple. And the other one a little bit more blue. Even that's a little dark. Okay, there we go. That should be good. And now when I put a glow around it, I probably will use solid white. But this small little change basically makes it so I can have a brighter spot around it. And I'll be able to make them glow a little bit more easily. So for that, I'm actually going to go into the layer styles menu and put in an outer glow. Unfortunately, you guys can't see it. But you can see the effect. It's not going to be very strong. I just want it to once again look like it's glowing. And in this case, the kind of glowing that I want, I think it's appropriate for an outer glow instead of just duplicating the layer and blurring it. Which one I use largely depends entirely on my mood. Okay, that looks good. And now the glow. So I want to get the colors. I want to get the colors I used here because I think they're pretty good. So I'm just gonna duplicate this layer a few times until the color's opaque. That looks pretty opaque to me. This should be pretty dang close to accurate. I'll get them both. And undo. There we go. So yeah, now we're just kind of getting into light little touch-ups. And I think I said most of what I want to talk about there. Oh, I want to turn Leia back on, so this way I can see the pretty picture in the thumbnail, because it makes me happy. I like looking up at the thumbnail to see how things are going. I don't think I could work without this here. It's very nice. So I have been thinking quite a lot about how to structure a potential tutorial series. And I've been thinking about what is important for beginners to know, and I think there's a lot of things that people that I don't see a lot of tutorials on, actually. I mean, I haven't looked for art tutorials recently, admittedly. I really haven't, because I don't know. I kind of want to see how far I can get on my own, but I'm kind of at the point where I feel like a lot of tutorials and knowledge sharing and that stuff is heavily geared toward beginners, and I don't see a lot of stuff out there from the intermediate and beyond. I may not help with that very much. We'll see. Beginners are just easier to explain things to because the basics are easier to talk about. But two subjects that I think are actually really important to know that I don't hear people talk about is, one, how to do some self-critique. So that this way, you know, I always say that in order to get better at art, you should go draw a bunch of pictures, look at them, find the things that you like and the things that you don't like, do the things you like again and improve on the things you don't like. And that's when you can go look up other tutorials and stuff once you have a problem that you want to fix. Because then you'll have a better idea of what you need to do. And certain things can only get done by grinding. Like, I feel like a lot of beginners talk about anatomy and whatnot, and you don't really need to know proper anatomy or anything, but typically what they're talking about is proportions. And that's, in my experience, something you just kind of grind through, and then you start getting a feel for it. So I do think that one of the tutorials, I'm going to talk about proper self-critique and how you do that. And then another one I would like to do is on how to use reference images. Because I think reference images are pretty important. But sometimes I think people get the wrong idea for how to use them. Let's see, do I even like that color? There's like this subtle little glow at the bottom, and I do like it, but I'm not sure about the color. So let's take a look. Yeah, I think I like it a little bit more toward purple. It has to be kind of a warm purple, though. Okay, that should be fine. I will hide that for a little while, though, and the stars. And this should give me a very solid foundation to draw the clouds on. I think I need to hide the sun, too. Okay, good. And they're already cut off where the sun is, so I'll have a decent idea there. And I think with everything turned off, it just shows how blurry they are. And this is why I just want to touch them up a little. I'll talk about reference images in a little bit. Right now, let's talk about clouds. So clouds, they're interesting. A lot of people just get cloud brushes. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that, but I think they can be pretty fun to draw. Because you can draw just about anything and it'll look like a cloud. And the big thing I like to do with my clouds is I kinda define the areas that need sharper edges. So I'm gonna zoom out a little bit for that. So right now, I'm just kinda defining their shapes. I'll get their lights and stuff a little more thorough a bit later. But this is all just getting the basic shape in. And as with all things, focus a little bit on the structure and the rest will come easy. I just do it a little bit differently with clouds than I do for some other things. Since they're a little floaty, a little wishy-washy, I should hide the stars too. And you can kind of just do whatever you want. I tend to define them a little bit more with light than I do a lot of other things. So right now, my major light source is the sun that's behind her head. You don't see it right now because I hid it. And so I'm just kind of keeping that in mind. Anything facing that is going to get a little brighter, and anything facing away is getting a little darker. And then I just kind of go in and start lobbing around with my airbrush. I can do it with a hard brush too. You can see I did it down there. But for these ones, I want them to be a little bit more subtle, so I'm just using the airbrush. And all of this is going to be done with, what is this brush? Airbrush Soft. Just Krita's default airbrush. I have not touched the settings on it. I haven't really felt the need to. I think it is fantastic. It is great just the way it is. And normally I'd go through this pretty fast. I'll probably take my time today because, you know, it's like the last thing I gotta do, and what else am I gonna do for 2 more hours? It's all good. I like drawing clouds. It's very relaxing. It's one of those things that tends to just make me feel nice. It's one of the many reasons I don't use a cloud brush. Actually, the main reason I don't use a cloud brush is a little bit sad, in that when I was getting started, there was a lot of negativity around digital, because, you know, I am old, and it was not commonly accepted back when I was learning how to draw. And I'm glad it is now, so people can experience this wonderful medium without acting like they're cheating. People acting like they're cheating. And so that was a big thing. And for whatever reason, 14-year-old me was very, very concerned about whether or not actually using my tools was cheating or not, or if I wanted to sell something that I made. If I had used downloaded brushes, how does the copyright on that work? Because, you know, 14-year-old me did not understand copyright law and the like. And I hadn't paid for any of these brushes. Do we have to worry about commercial rights or anything like that? And I still don't know the answer to those questions. I don't really care to find out. So I insisted on only using default brushes when I was learning. I never downloaded brushes. I thought that it was a bad and scary thing to do. So I just kind of learned how to get by with the defaults. I wouldn't say I regret it. I would like to learn how to use some of these other tools a little bit better. And, you know, maybe learn how to make my own brushes and that kind of thing. But that is why I only used default brushes. I just kind of got used to it, and then I've tried a couple of times to learn how to use custom brushes better, but I was just so used to these ones that I never really felt the need. So, funny stories from baby Planckera when the universe was young. And unimaginably dense. These ones are looking a little stringier than I think I want them to. Kind of want to put a little bit more puffiness back in here. So I'm going to do some nice little circular shapes instead of the stringy ones that I've got here. We're going to get some circles in there, and then they'll look puffy and cute again. That I want to make sure that the backside here has a little bit more. Whoa, what was that? But yeah, I want to make sure it has a little bit more contrast. Let's get some of the other colors I have here, because there are some nice purples that I really like. All right. So if you ever hear me ranting about weird things, because there are, I think there are still people out there that think digital is cheating, and that you should only use certain tools, or that being able to undo is cheating, and you should learn how to draw traditionally where there is no undo. And I still hear stuff like that on occasion. It's less common than it used to be. And I am very happy for that. Okay, how are they looking so far? I don't know, they still look a little ominous to me. I've been having problems with my clouds turning out really ominous lately. I drew a speed paint yesterday to celebrate equilibriums. Well, more accurately, it was 2 days ago. I started it 2 days ago, so this way I could 2 or 3 days ago, whatever, a day, and so this way I could post it on the 6-month anniversary. I ended up being a day late because I just tried several patterns and it just wasn't working. I didn't like any of them. And the first one is because the clouds looked way too ominous. I don't really want to completely start over, but I don't think it's the color that's making them look obvious. I'm pretty sure it's the shapes. I just made them too stringy. Stringy clouds are a little ominous. So I need to get these guys puffier. Nice, happy, puffy clouds. Get rid of all the stringy ones. Let's just get rid of that guy. We'll make this a little puffier here. Happy, 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 puffy clouds. Yeah, I always find it weird that, you know, traditional artists, it's not considered cheating to make different brushes or to do, you know, some of the neat painting techniques that you can do with brushes or using a plumb line or any of these other tools that they have, but for some reason, Control Z is. Every medium has its own advantages and disadvantages. There are some things where I look at a traditional artist doing something and I'm just like, man, I wish it was that easy for me. I don't know. Sometimes I think people just like coming up with arbitrary rules. I guess life is easier when you feel like everything makes sense, but I don't know. The world is way too complicated. I just always take a look at space, and when I see some of the nonsense going on out there, I'm just like, man, the world is weird. Look, I just can't get over the fact that just due to how light travels through the universe and how it can get caught in gravity wells and the like, how it can be bent and twisted, that it let us see the same star die twice. Like, obviously, it only died once. It's just the way the light moved and caught our eye. But we saw it die twice, and I just think that's fascinating. It's okay. World's a little bit nonsense. Okay, there's that one looking a little less ominous. Now it looks like a rock. Maybe I should just start over. Okay, let's do it. Let's just try again. It does mean I'll lose the colors, but that's okay. I can get them from over here. Okay, I'm gonna try that cluster of cloud again. So this is gonna be probably the lightest point. So let's actually get a couple of midtones first. We'll just get some haze in there. And this is gonna be like a general shape of the cloud. Okay, and then I can start defining some lights. This is always roughly how my clouds start. There we go. That's looking a little happier. Doesn't that look like a much happier puffy cloud? Alright, and I'll get some more shadows in there. Maybe somewhere around here in the areas that I think will be the darkest on my little puffy cloud. And I wouldn't mind just a little bit of puff back here, just to show that the cloud continues toward this planet there. Okay. Okay, yeah, there we go. This is going a bit better. I got lost in the sauce. It's fine. These things happen. All right. And then at some point I'm going to go in there and kind of start smoothing it out. I just want to get the bright highlights in there and then maybe just a few more little midtones. I actually have a shocking amount of gray in here. I think the gray will look pretty good as like little bits of reflected light though. And silver lining that goes on the clouds when there's a bright light near it. Okay, I think I can work with that. I think I'm gonna kind of refine this cluster of cloud as well. Let's just go make that nice. There's way too much gray here, so I'm gonna have to take that back. And most of this is actually like right next to the sun. So I can make that look pretty nice. I'm gonna go hide the curtains for a second because I'm pretty sure I've got more cloud out there. Yeah. We don't see them very well. It's mostly covered up by the curtains, but I don't want it to be quite this messy. I'm not gonna refine those as heavily as I do these ones. But I'll let them be in probably about the same state I left this one in. I think that's probably sufficient. And then just a small compositional thing, but you can kind of see that I have all the clouds pointing towards her. And that is intentional. Everything must return to Leia. Everything. She is the main character of this drawing. In this universe, she rules all, and everything must revolve around her. And that's where it's nice, being the subject of a painting. Everything gets to revolve around you. Sometimes I think it would be fun if real life was like that, where everything could just revolve around me. But at the same time, I think that might be a lot of pressure. Where every decision I make decides the fate of the universe. Or if I decide to go to bed early one day, suddenly people die. But my brain likes to think like that sometimes, but it's you know, I'm glad it's not actually real. Okay. There we go. Those are some looking like some nice little puffy space clouds. I don't think I want their coloring to be quite this strong. I might reduce the opacity a little bit at some point. But at the very least, I feel like the general structure of the clouds are looking pretty good now. So let's get some proper shadows in there. And then I can get some of those little gray lights that I had going on the other set of clouds. And since the light source is the currently invisible sun, I'm kind of going through and putting all those on the backside. So that's what this purple color's for. Just some basic shadows to get in there. And then I'll be going in to kind of puff all this out. There's probably a faster way to do this. I will learn about it someday. But today, I don't think I have to rush. I've been drawing too many ominous clouds. I like ominous clouds. They're cool. They also make me happy. But it's like for a second there, I forgot how to draw them non-ominously. I think even these still look a little bit ominous if I'm being real. But I think they're okay. Okay, so now I want the darkest colors. So for that, I'm just taking the background color, and this is what will bring out everything in here. Stop it from just being a purple haze. Okay, so I think that will be fine once I refine it just a little bit more. Actually, no, wait. I need a little bit of that gray. Yes, that's a little dark. I guess I just have to press a little harder because I lost some of the lighter colors as I was going through there. Let's see. Do I have it over here? That one should be pretty good. Just a few areas of slightly stronger light. Or I should say reflected light. The main light source is over here, so that's why it's all kind of going around the edges of some of these back places. Okay, there we go. That should look good once I actually go in and render it. Let's just do a tiny bit over here. I don't think I want to do that much. But I will get it into a very basic state. So we'll just plop in a few lights here. And this is what people are able to see just a little bit of through the curtains. That's why it gets a little bit. Just because it is a little bit visible in a few places. And I should respect that. Okay, then just a little bit of the reflected light, and that should honestly be sufficient. Let's turn the curtains back on. Okay, no, I think I could use a little bit more than that. Okay, fine. We'll give him a little bit more attention. Little needy clouds. So something that's been on my mind a lot lately, and I don't know why, but it's been coming up. I've heard some people talking about hostile AI takeovers. So we're not talking about generative AI here. We're talking about the rogue AIs that are like actually, or rogue AIs that would actually like take over the world and kill all humanity and stuff. And I've been thinking, do I think that a rogue AI has the potential to be a threat? It's like, well, potential, maybe. But I think that there's maybe a little bit more of a sinister truth to it. Like, we're picturing things more along the lines of, Or when I hear people talk about it, I guess I should say, they're picturing something more along the lines of this thing will decide that humans are inefficient and are getting in the way of it achieving its goals and stuff like that, which, you know, plausible. We probably would have potentially have different goals. I could see that. And that could lead to problems, you know, a general conflict. But I think that there is a little bit of a scarier idea that people don't generally consider. And for me, it's... I struggle to picture a world where humans would choose humans over robots. And that's, just because when I look at how humanity generally acts, I don't actually think humans care about humans very much. I don't. They generally care about their own interests. And I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. Like, it sounds bad when I put it like this. But with the way I hear people talk and talk about their own relationships or their lack thereof, they generally cite, you know, behaviors that they don't like, or, you know, anytime that they have to go and talk to someone to, say, order food or go to the grocery store, go pick up video games, talk to customer support for problems that they're having with something. Generally, it's very unflattering. Largely complaining. And I just always think that if an AI showed up that was able to fulfill the needs humans have for other humans, so, you know, social contact, nice conversation, stuff like that, that humans would pick the robot 100% of the time. It sounds really sad to say, and sometimes I think that's why so many people have a bit of existential dread with this, because I think it's starting to show just how replaceable people are to people, and I just think it's sad. But I'm just picturing, you know, you want a romantic partner. You could go through all the trouble to find an imperfect human who will, you know, have positive and negative points. They will have good traits and bad traits. Or you could find a machine that will do exactly what you want them to do, always. And, you know, if you like your life to be filled with drama, then the robot can even replicate the drama. This is assuming that they are indistinguishable from humans, aside from doing what you want. So, you know, you can still replicate those things if you really want to. Or you could just have whatever your vision of the perfect relationship is. And it's like, would anyone try to date a person in those circumstances? I don't really think so. And I remember a long time ago, when I was in college, I was thinking, or rather I should say, one of the jobs I applied to a lot, types of jobs, was just some basic customer support stuff. And I like doing tech support. I did quite a lot of tech support for my friends. And that has largely given way to machines. And I remember when it was just starting. So this would be for... The big one that I remember was Blizzard putting in some bots to help with basic World of Warcraft problems. So instead of having to wait for a GM to come and help you with, I don't know, whatever bugs they were experiencing, or you got locked out of your account and that kind of stuff, you could just go to the chatbot. And this was heralded as a fantastic. Personally, I think it kind of is. I don't think that necessarily doing these route basic tasks is a good use of human time, but I just always think it's so funny with the way people complain about AI taking jobs, when it's always been like this, and the service was overall better. This isn't always the case now. Our AI is not perfect, and there are still some cases where people are trying to force AI where it's not really good enough to be used that way yet. So I'm not surprised that people complain. I think people also just like to complain. But that aside, I just think that once it's able to do the same task, no one's really going to care if it's a human doing the task or not. If anything, having the machine do it will be easier because humans make more mistakes, take longer, and on a whole, and get upset when you yell at them. And you know, basic human things. Whereas machines really don't. They don't care. You can abuse them all you want, and it'll be fine. So I have just always struggled to find a future where humans would pick other humans over the robot that will do whatever they want. And so when people talk about hostile AI takeovers, generally they're assuming a malicious AI. But the way I see it, because I don't think humans would ever pick humans, I don't even think the AI has to be malicious. I don't. I think it could just go out of its way to make humanity happy. And humanity would die. Because if you can get the feeling of a romantic relationship with a computer, there's no reason to go out and seek other humans. Birth rate is, already falling, but imagine how bad it would be if, humans stopped seeking each other out and just hung out with machines that filled the same needs. It would go to zero. And I think that people would just die naturally, just from the AI doing its best to make us happy. And, maybe it'll do it maliciously, just so that this way, it can do its own thing once once all of the humans are dead. But I honestly don't think it's gonna have to try that hard. And I think a lot of the things that lead to people not choosing people are getting worse. Just, difficulty with emotional regulation, kind of the bit of self-centeredness, where you think people should act in a certain way, and if they don't, then you just cut them off entirely. That kind of thing. Looking for red flags. The lack of acceptance of the imperfections, and inability to self-reflect on the problems that, maybe they caused in the relationship as opposed to the other person. And I see a lot of general negative beliefs about these things, so yeah, it's my opinion. Will AI kill us all? Probably, yeah. But I'm honestly not too bothered by it, and I don't think it's going to be hostile. I think we're just going to go quietly, without even a whimper, and we're going to do it with a smile on our face. Does this bother me? No, not especially. I used to kind of feel a little bit overly attached to my genes, I guess you could say. part of me still kind of is. Not gonna lie, I think that's... I think it's normal. Because it's a way for a piece of me to carry on into the future. But what I think is more important is ideas. Because, I mean, think about it. If a kid is adopted, is that kid's father or mother the person that was responsible for their birth? You know, the person that gave them their genes, or the person that raised them? I don't think I have seen a single adopted kid claim that their real parents are the ones that they contributed their genes to. No, it's the one that raised them, the one that they have the emotional bond with. So, that's where I'm like, you know, I think the ideas are more important. So I think that our true descendants might be the machines. And as long as humans were the ones that built those machines, they'll still have some human ideas in them. And those human ideas will live on. So, no, it doesn't really bother me. Incidentally, this is also why I'm not really bothered by generative AI, and I don't really see it as an existential threat or anything. I've largely come to terms with a lot of these feelings a long time ago. It used to feel a little bit scary, but... You know what, I'm gonna die either way, so... The idea of my descendants not being human... It's fine by me. I'm not super attached to humanity as a species. But I think human ideas are pretty cool. We've done some pretty neat things, and I hope those survive. So I hope our AI children do well. Ooh, and you know, speaking of that, one thing that I'm really excited about, I actually don't think that large language models are going to be the future of AI. I think that they will reach a cap, and they won't be able to do very much. But what I think will happen eventually, I think as we keep studying the brain, brains are fascinating, I love them. They're great. As we keep studying that, at some point, we're kind of going to be able to replicate how our brain works. And there's really only two directions that we can go there. Either you can, if you know the electrical paths, chemical triggers, and all of that stuff, you can fully control a human's mind. Or there's, you know, some weird, I'll call it a cult, a thing that sets us apart from animals. So, you know, something from God, let's call it. And that's what makes us different from animals. I'm not sure what the answer is. But if we can get to the point where we can understand our neural pathways well enough, it's just electricity. We could do that in a computer. Maybe we could create an artificial brain. Wouldn't that be neat? And then the way that these machines' brains are structured would be the same as ours. And that is something. That is something. So we could potentially create something built on the same kinds of foundations that our bodies are. Maybe with different chemical triggers and stuff. Maybe their reward centers function a little bit differently. But I think that'll be neat. I really, really look forward to seeing where our knowledge of the brain goes. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be so cool. I really, really wish I had more time to research these things. I do. Never enough time, man. It's so unfair. It's okay, I'll do my best to make my ideas immortal. Do what I can to make a few little splashes. in the pond that is the universe. Meanwhile, this cloud is starting to look pretty nice. I just been kind of derping around because, you know, today is a chill day. I only have clouds to draw, so let's spend a bunch of time drawing clouds while I think about killer AI destroying us all. But look, I'll always stand by. I don't think a day is complete without at least a little existential dread. If you don't have enough, you're not trying hard enough. See, this is the nice thing about being space-themed, a space-themed VTuber. Because I remember just learning a little bit about space, and then suddenly, you know, just realizing how insignificant you are. It's pretty scary at first, but then you just think about it, and you know, maybe it's not so bad. It took me a little while to get over it, though, because one thing that we like to do with a lot of kids, especially ones where people say you're smart, is we're just like, oh yes, you're so special, go be yourself, do not fall for the peer pressures, and if your friends all go jump off bridge, would you jump off bridge too? And that kind of thing, and be yourself. And all these other terrible bits of advice. And then they have to go out in the world and nobody cares. Because they're not 12 anymore. And that's when we were just like, what are you talking about? You're not special? The hell why should I care about anything you're doing? I think I hit that point a little bit sooner. I think that's why I was a little bit sad in high school, because after a while people stopped treating me like I was special, and I got hit pretty hard by it. I think there was more to it than that, but that was definitely a thing. I mean, have you seen 14-year-olds? They do tend to be a little bit on the self-centered side. You know, no shade. It's the way it should be. That's when you're discovering yourself. Of course you're going to be thinking about yourself a lot. But, you know, on that subject, I want to talk about why I think be yourself is terrible advice for just about everything. Because what is yourself? This has been like a cornerstone of philosophy for a long time, of like, what is the self? What does it mean when you say just be yourself? I thought about this a lot when it came to streaming, of just like, what did it mean to be myself? Because, you know, I have lots of different selves. And I'm not even schizophrenic. It's just, you know, I act differently when I'm around my husband versus when I'm around my dad versus when I'm around just normal people. You know, when I talk to other moms at the park, or I talk to the person at the checkout at the grocery store, I act differently. And that's normal. That is completely normal. It is not appropriate for me to act the same way around my husband as I do the person checking out my groceries. No. No. It is not appropriate for me to act like I do around my husband when I'm at work. It is not. You do not treat your teachers at school The same way you treat your friends at school. No! They will get mad at you. It is inappropriate. It's part of what makes relationships so hard to deal with, and I'm just like, okay, and when I'm talking about the moms talking to the moms at the park, am I suddenly not being myself? And, you know, maybe the answer is sometimes, but generally no. Generally, I'm just doing what comes naturally. And it's fine. I just, you know, have an understanding of what is a good way to behave and what is not. I'm a normal person, as you might say. Doing normal things. Because nobody acts the same way. In every situation. Like no one. I don't even think severely autistic people do. And they have, and some of their things with how to handle social situations is somewhat impaired. You know, for some of them more than someone. Like some of them can't even talk. But like I think even a lot of those people kind of understand it, and that's where you get masking and the like, and how good they are kind of depends on how well they're able to understand that, and it's all very complicated. But so that's the main reason I don't really like the idea of people saying just be yourself, as though this is a statement that means anything at all. I especially hate it for dating advice, because the way you'd act if this person was your significant other is way different, or, you know, if you were dating somehow, is way different from how you'd act if they were not. And if you want them to be, and they don't, it would be very awkward to treat them like they are. So that's where I'm just like, nah, it's terrible advice. The gem of advice in that is only just don't pretend to be something you're not. If you don't have an interest in classic 18th century painting, don't try to pretend like you do to befriend someone. Because, you know, if they start talking about classic painting techniques, or the French Academy, or some of these other things, you're gonna have no idea what they're talking about, and they will fish it out. They'll be able to tell that you're just lying. It's better to say, no, I'm not really familiar with any of this, but I am interested in learning. Assuming you are interested in learning. You don't have to pretend. Especially if there's other common points of interest and the like. So, that's how I feel about that. I think telling people to be themselves for anything is terrible. Oh, I see that for streaming advice so much. It's just like, they're there for you, so be yourself and have a good time. And I'm just like, what am I? Who am I? What am I even doing here? Who the hell knows? I don't. I think that's normal. How many good streamers that you know are, like, not in the middle of an existential crisis on the regular? I'm sure they exist, but I can guarantee that they're probably thinking about things more than you give them credit for. You know, whole, what am I doing? what do I want to be doing is a subject of many of my thoughts right now. As I kind of have the means to do what I want, and it feels weird. And I am still not quite sure what I want to do with it. That's why I said, you know, while I figure this all out, you guys are gonna get to watch me do it in real time, and we'll see if I'm the same person as I am now. Next year. I probably won't be. Whether figuratively or literally, because, like, I could see myself making a new character to, have some stronger theater kid energy. Do some cringe role-playing, and it'll be great. But, yeah, I don't know. But if I roleplay a character, am I no longer being myself? Who knows? Personally, I think that you can be even more yourself with a fictional character sometimes than just trying to be yourself. Isn't that weird? Because, but I think it's very true. Because I think we can be very honest in fiction. We can talk about all sorts of things that are basically not allowed in real life. Okay, I should probably hurry up on these clouds, actually. Stop derping around. Fortunately, I think they mostly look fine. I'm just trying to give them some harder edges and stuff. But, yeah. Because I remember, like, The Lord of the Rings was written from Tolkien's experiences in the World War. So he got to talk about some things, and, you know, got to talk about the idea on how power corrupts people. And I imagine if he did that with the politics at the time, it wouldn't have been a good look. But when you're just talking about an evil king on Mount Doom and an evil ring that he has that can grant people a lot of power, and then watch their personalities go to absolute bad places, or, you know, Boromir willing to betray everyone in an attempt to gather some of that power for himself to even do potentially positive things with it, and just all the things it made him do, and all this stuff. It'd be a lot harder to talk about that openly and honestly when people can get heated with current events. But in fiction, he can say exactly what he wants. He can set up the scenario exactly as he thinks suits it. So, yeah, unironically, you can probably be more yourself in fiction than in real life sometimes. I think fiction is a great place for talking about ideas. So that is why I have said that the one thing that could get me to rebrand this character is just my desire to be a theater geek, or you know, an adult theater kid, and talk about things that way. I don't know if I'm going to or not. Well, we'll see where things go in the next year. I don't know how any of this works. I'm still waiting for Inochi 2D to be more stable. But it's okay, you know, if I do rebrand, it's not like I'll be dead and you'll never be able to find me again, because I'm not under, like, a corporate NDA or anything. I'll just say, hey guys, I'm over here now. Or I'm rebranding this channel to do something I think is interesting. I hope you'll join me. And I don't know. So, you know. Even if Planckera graduates, I will not. The person behind Planckera, you'll be able to find. I'll make it easy. Okay, because, yeah, I want to make sure that I have plenty of time for the stars. I can definitely draw clouds faster than this. I only talk about that. Because, you know, speed is still one of my big focuses. I will say, figuring out who I am and what I want to be talking about is actually pretty hard. That's exactly why I'm complaining about the advice, because I sometimes look at the greater internet. I've been trying to learn how to socialize on Twitter. I kind of feel like I should stop, but at the same time, I want to be noticed, and that's where a lot of people are, so I kind of feel obligated to try. And I just see things like this all the time when it comes to content creation. Just be yourself. Be yourself. I hate it. It's so useless. God, how do you even find your voice? I assume it's like art style, where you don't find it, it finds you. You just gotta keep doing stuff. But that sounds like it could take a while. I'm not even sure if I found it yet. I still remember when I started this channel, I was like, okay, Bob Ross is pretty cool. Let's go be like him. We'll just do a nice, chill art stream. And I'll talk softly and kind of talk through what I'm doing, and it'll be great. But I'm not wholesome enough to be Bob Ross, and that's not being insulting. That's just because Bob Ross was an exceptional dude. It's like saying I'm not as smart as Albert Einstein. It's like, yeah, that's not a self-esteem issue. That's just true. And I'm okay with that. I don't have to be a genius physicist to do some cool things in the world. It's fine. I kind of wish I made these clouds a little smaller, if I'm being honest, but I think they're fine. I can put pretty much anything back here and it'll be okay, I think. Yeah, these should have been long lines of dot clouds instead of big old puffy ones. Because now when I zoom out, they're really big. I think it's fine like this, though. I think I might just leave it there. Let's turn the layers back on. And maybe I'll render it a little bit more later, but I think that this probably looks fine. Let's see, I don't think I actually like the star being like right on the edge of the cloud there. Let's move it. Okay. We're just gonna plop this guy over here instead. Okay, there we go. That's a little better. And yeah, I think it looks fine. I'll go ahead and... Do I want to do anything further? I think I might put a few bright lights in certain places. But I think that's pretty good. I'll do it at 100% with all the layers on. I just want to make the clouds pop a little bit more, and then we can deal with all these little smeary looking stars here. Unfortunately, the Krita, the star brush wasn't good for the type of stars that I wanted here, so I had to use a different kind. And they're not quite working for me either. So I'm going to be very, very sparing with this light color. It's basically going to be for things pointing directly at the light. And I'm just going to blob it in, nice and gently. Like this guy, he is like right there, so I think he gets lots of little lights. I had to say with this one. Whereas out here, it's a little bit less. But I still want to plop some stuff on. There we go. Some of the spirituality and philosophy and what the self is. It can actually be pretty interesting to read about if you're into that kind of thing. If you'd like a little bit more existential dread in your life, I highly recommend it. It feels great. It can feel really uncomfortable at first. I'm not even exaggerating here. I'm not even trying to be funny. It does feel great. Because I feel like with every thought and every emotion you process, you get a little bit closer to potentially being what you want to be. And I don't think those thoughts come for free. They come with a lot of discomfort. And there lots of interesting things come out of it, and you end up a lot more secure with yourself. I can only imagine. I've been a little bit insecure with a lot of my art and creative stuff lately. To an extent, I think that's normal. I think one of the reasons that artists can have a really hard time with this is that there's no real objectivity in art. And whether something is good or bad depends on who you ask. So it can be really, really hard sometimes, especially when you're in a state where you don't really like a lot of what you're producing. And I don't say this to be rude to myself. I don't think my art is bad. I want to clarify. I just think I'm kind of in a state where I'm probably going to see some rapid growth soon, and my art is going to improve. So I don't even consider what I'm feeling a bad thing here. It is what it is. It's fine. All right. I want to get an accurate color here, so I'm going to duplicate this a couple of times, grab my color, and go on back. And now I just have to make this actually look good, which is going to be something. This is the part that I was dreading the most, because I think I just kind of have to go with each individual one and just make their shapes better. I think it might even be easier if I just make a new layer and start dotting things around. This is going to take a little while. This is why I wanted to hurry up with the clouds, because I knew that this would take a little while, and I'm going to hide the curtains again. But, you know, it's for the best. So I'm just gonna go and make each of these look a little nicer because I just hate their current shapes. I don't know, is this gonna work? I better be sure before I get too deep into it. Oh yeah, already looks 100 times better. Okay. Time to suffer for my art. Here we go. It's okay. I might not do every single one, but I'm just gonna start here. Alright, time to draw some pretty stars. And, you know, this is a perfect time for me to just go full no thoughts, head empty. And I can talk about whatever. It'll be great. It's like I do stuff like this, and then I wonder why it takes me so long to draw anything. As though this is like some deep mystery. There's probably a better way to do this, but hell if I know what it is. I don't like the way the other brushes that I have that can do something similar look for this. They just have such a smeary texture, and I just don't feel like these little orbs look good. Not when the canvas is this big. Like, I did use the same brush I used for this on the Happy 6 Months Equilibrium picture I posted yesterday. I have the short up on the channel if you want to go look. I do have that, and I did use the same brush for that, but that canvas was a lot smaller than this one, and the stars I was trying to draw was smaller than this one. So they ended up looking okay, and frankly, that was a speed paint, and this is not. I'm kind of okay with taking shortcuts on speed paints. I guess I shouldn't call it a speed paint. It took me longer than what would be an acceptable time for speed paints, but I drew it faster than usual. It's what it amounts to. So, you know, sometimes that brush can work, but it just wasn't doing it for me here. So I just got to draw them. All of them, unfortunately. And there's a lot. But each one only takes me a few seconds, so I think I can get through it all. And I don't even have to be super particular about it all. It's all pretty okay. I just want some nice star shapes in here. Some of them I'll make more circular, some of them I'll make kind of the star shape there. And it'll be great. So just putting those kinds of shapes in here. Kinda using the size of the splatter brush to help me determine how big they should be. You know, I should hide my basic stars just so I don't start drawing over them too. Because that sounds like something that would be easy to do in these circumstances. Okay. I am curious about what will end up making us so different. What makes humans so different from animals? I have been thinking about that a little bit. Like, what is sentience and the like? Is it just the complexity of our brain, or is there something else at play here? This is another one of those things where I think people have a little bit of a misconception about science, because it's like I talk about some of these weird occult or more spiritual adjacent stuff, and people assume that there's no way that this could be scientific. And right now it really can't be. We don't have the information. But I think it's entirely possible that someday we'll be able to analyze these things. And because I think people forget that science is ultimately just a method. It's not a fundamental truth. It changes all the time. Too much consensus in the scientific community is actually kind of dangerous, I think. So, although it's not something we can really analyze now. It's like, are we going to be able to figure out some of these questions? If our brain is more than just electrical signals, are we going to be able to analyze that and that kind of thing? I think it's possible. Maybe we don't understand it now, but there's lots of things we don't understand now. And we give them super edgy names like dark matter and dark energy. Or we don't really understand what's going on, but there's something happening there. There's gravity involved. We just can't see it. So I am curious if there's electrical signals or if it's just electrical signals or if there's more to it. If it is just the complexity of our brains or if there's a little bit more to it. So I think there could be. I am personally a God believer, so I do think it is entirely plausible that there's more to it. It also seems entirely plausible to me that it is strictly electrical signals and there's nothing else going on. And that me thinking this is just basic human arrogance. But I am curious. That's why, when it comes down to it, neuroscience is probably the biggest thing that I'm interested in. The continued developments at. I just want to know, but I imagine it's pretty hard to do because we can't do things like dissect people's brains or do super unethical experiments, and I do think a lot of what we have to do will have to involve the human brain at some point and not in animals. So we're going to be a little bit limited, and it's a little bit sad, but I guess ethics and science is important, I guess. Sometimes I think we go a little bit too far with it, but what can I say? I don't really care about using animals for experiments. I don't think we should torture them for no reason, but I don't think science is exactly a no reason kind of thing, so and I guess that's just the human supremacist mindset coming out of me. I think sacrificing them is for the sake of science is very worthy. But enough people disagree that we have to do ethical stuff, I guess. Oh yeah, I do want to read up more about it. I do want to, and I do want to see where it goes. It's something I've realized. I guess I can't quite say recent years because it's been longer than that, but the mind and body are very much connected. So even if I am not convinced that my brain is myself, and that we don't necessarily have the same goals, I do know that it is part of my body, and I kind of have to listen to it to a degree. Otherwise, I'm going to get bad results. And if I don't get enough sleep, like, bad things happen, and all that kind of stuff. It's terrible, I tell ya. Absolutely terrible. But it is true. So sometimes I feel like studying the brain is also a way to study myself. Just understanding what it wants, what it needs, what it's gonna try to convince me to do. All those things. It's very interesting. very, very interesting. I like it a lot. It's times like this that I question why I'm insisting on taking the time to make all these stars a little bit cleaner. But whatever, I got time. My hand is cramping. I'm gonna stretch it a little. There we go. I got time, and it's brain dead enough that I can just yap while I do it. So, you know, you can kind of ask me whatever you want right now, because I can talk about anything. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep talking about brains, because brains are cool. It's one of those topics that if you read enough of it, you will get a little bit of existential dread. Because the thought of, how much of your thoughts are basically in the control of random chemicals and stuff, I personally find it a little bit scary. And part of it is I am woman. I don't anymore, but I had a menstrual cycle, and oh god, that can throw you through a loop, because the hormone balances in your brain and just everywhere can get so out of whack for some people, and I was very much one of them, that I'd basically go insane for the entire place, or at least I'd feel kind of insane, and it was awful, I tell ya. I just got super hyper depressed, like a barely functional tier depressed for a few days every month. It's terrible. And that this can just happen. It's like, how can that not freak me out? I might not end up going over every one of these. I'll probably go partway through. I think I'm probably just going to fill the rest of the time here with just derping with stars. Because it's... well, no, it's not the last thing I got to do. I do have to do some color correction and stuff. Okay. We'll do another... let's say... 40 minutes or so to get some star variation in here. And then I'm going to start duplicating the layer and moving it around. But, you know, this is relaxing, and it might as well still be just chatting at this point. I don't think there's any difference between me doing this and me chatting. Well, I don't know. I might change my mind. Because normally what I do in these situations, I get, like, a decent cover, and then we just duplicate the layer a lot and move it around, transform it, so this way it doesn't look quite so samey. I might, like, do this. I guess I'm getting a little sick of drawing stars. Duplicate it around, make everything in this little cloud area extra sparkly. Oops, I did not mean to select it. I'm merging all the layers together so I can duplicate them again, and we'll bring it over here, and it'll be great. And so this is how I'd normally handle this. And then I can even make it smaller, so we have a little bit of smaller stardust kind of coming out here. Glad to hear it. I don't even know what I'm saying half the time, but I like doing it. It gets me to think about things. I know. I just kind of like thinking about some of these things. And let's see, how did I have the initial one? Yeah, a little bit more concentrated around the clouds. Let's see, I want my big one back. So yeah, this is how I would normally handle this. And just think, that entire ramble just started with an angry rant about me being annoyed of people saying just be yourself. Because, oh, useless! Useless! And it angers me. Okay, and I got a few more places I want some stars in, but I'm not gonna select all the. I'm just gonna get these guys and move them around here. Okay, and this is too dense, so I'll take it back a little, but that looks fine. And now I'll just make sure that I have stars and the bright stars in the location that I want them in. Because I wanted them mostly concentrated around the cloud areas, and I think that looks fine. Yeah, this layer is no longer necessary. Thank you. I like the lighting in this one too. Alright. So I think that was the last thing there, and I think that these look fine. And now when I zoom in, you know, everything looks fine at 100% too. And it is fantastic. So I think that this one is about ready for some color correction and stuff. Let's do it. So the first thing I like to do, I copy the whole thing merged and blur everything. Let's see, I think right about there is going to be good. And then I erase the parts I want to be in focus, which is generally most things. I just like to have that little bit of blur for the corners and some stuff like that. I think it looks nice. I don't want the curtain pattern to be very blurry, but the curtains themselves being a little bit blurry, I think actually looks pretty good. So, yeah, most of it I want to be in focus, so that's pretty normal. But I do think it looks nice with just a touch of blur here and there. And then we get to do some things to make the lighting fun. So I'm gonna leave the clouds mostly blurred in this one. The ones back here, I want to be a little bit less blurry, though. And I don't want anything on Leia to be blurred. Absolutely nothing. Okay, and that should be good. So now we got a few spots a little bit out of focus. I'm gonna paste the whole picture again, and now I'm gonna blur it a little bit more than before. Set it to soft light. And this tends to be when I start really liking things. I think this is a little bit strong in terms of contrast. I think I probably want it to be more around here. I rarely think I need that much color correction. I'm generally pretty happy with my colors, but something about just the little bit of softness that just having a blurred soft light layer can add is really nice. Like if you zoom in, it's really subtle, but the difference, it's there. Like over here it gets a lot shinier and stuff like that. It's super subtle though. But I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, and next, filter layer, color adjustment. Where could I put this? Okay, I need to scoot the painting over a little bit before I can do this. There we go, let's try that again. Filter layer, color adjustment. I wish you guys could see my boxes, but I haven't been able to find a way that works, make that work without capturing more of my screen than I want to. So this is your basic curves in Krita. And here I'm just amping up the lights and lowering the shadows just a little bit. I don't really think I need to do too much. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to blow things out. Okay. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. You know, I wanted to leave the clouds blurry, but it makes the stars a little bit too blurry too. Okay. Let's bring some of that out then. Maybe I should do a separate blur layer for the background then. So this way I can have it a little bit blurrier than this. Oh no, this looks fine actually. Okay. I think I'll leave it like this. Decisions. Okay. Last one. Filter layer. Color balance. And this is just where I tweak some stuff if I want to. I very rarely change that much, but if it's not 0, it's worth doing in my opinion. And actually, hold on, before I do that. Yeah, some of the little stars are just too blurry back here. I can't leave this blurred. Because then you can't see all the nice little stars. I think over here it can be a little bit blurred. Okay. I feel better. Okay, back to color balance. So right now I'm just kind of putting more blues into the shadows and that's about it really. So just some very, very slight color tweaks. Very, very slight. Okay, so maybe right about there. So, not a huge difference, but you can see everything is slightly more red. And I think that works for this one, because it's... The picture is purple, but despite that, it feels very warm, in my opinion. So, a little bit more red will make it a slightly warmer purple. And I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's good. So... No, let's see. I have a few areas that are still a little blurry. Just realized that there were a couple spots on her dress that I missed. But yeah, that's about it. So this is pretty much where I'm going to leave this one, and hopefully I can get the time lapse for this one up and before too long. I still haven't finished BBs. I want to start doing voiceovers for them. I don't know what I want to talk about for this one. Oh, thank you. I like it. I think it turned out pretty okay. Ah, stretch. Okay. Oh yeah, I think it turned out pretty alright. I think I can be happy with that. I look forward to posting it, so... I'll have to think about what I want to talk about during the time-lapse. For the BB drawing that I finished recently, I wanted to talk about stylization and how you find your style and common beginner art things. I feel like style is not one of those things you find, it's something that finds you. Unless you're like me and like to have a million different ones. In which case, you can go look for it, but if you're just thinking about what makes you unique, nah, that finds you. That's fine. But for this one, I don't know, what do I want to talk about for this one? It'd be nice to talk about an art thing and not just how cool outer space is, even though that's certainly a very worthy thing to talk about. But I'll have to think about it. Yeah, I'll have to think about it. I mean, I still have to finish doing everything for BBs, so I think I can probably focus on that one for a little bit. It might delay me getting this one out there, but, you know, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end. I'll figure it out. Regardless, I think I succeeded in what I set out to do with this one. That's kind of how I'm thinking about my art a lot lately, because, you know, I've been saying, I've been a little bit down on it lately, and I don't actually think it's a bad thing. It's just a sign that I'm probably going to go through a phase of rapid improvement sometime soon. And, you know, that's fundamentally a good thing. It's just a little hard when you're right in the middle of it. So I've been trying to think in terms of, did I succeed in what I was trying to do? It's true, I have improved a lot the past 2 years. But, I think more's coming. I just got to be patient, but I'm really bad at being patient, so I just want to go at 1,000,000 miles per hour and do all the things, and I can't, and I hate it. It's not possible. But it's okay. But what I was trying to do before, but what I wanted to do in this one was, one, I mostly wanted to draw a little bit of space stuff, because space stuff is cool, and I think it looks good. I think I captured what was going on in my reference image pretty well, so, you know, I think all is well there. And so, you know, it looks like that. I think I got that part, and it's pretty cool. I like it. I don't know if you're actually able to go outside in that area, but I get to make things up. So it's all good. And I'm probably going to find little tiny things to touch up as I keep talking. But mostly, I just wanted to have a nice, warm picture where it looks like she's going out and kind of inviting you into this little world. I kind of feel like that's what Variance, the VTuber corpo she's part of, is doing. So I very, very much wanted it to be like she is out here inviting you to the place. And just have a nice little warm, comfy image. That is also purple, because purple is fantastic. And I think I hit that. So that tends to be how I think about these things. And I don't like to do self-critique right after finishing the picture. I always like to sleep on it for a day or a week before I go back and try to think about what I would do differently, so I'm not really going to go into that. Nothing is immediately coming up, so that's a good sign. But yeah, I like it. It's working. This one was kind of interesting because there was so much white here. Her design is just very, very white. So I had to come up with neat ways to kind of separate each of these white sections from each other. Some of that is built into the design. Like, she's got these gold sparks separating some things. Like the top here is separated by some gold, and then you got this kind of white belt going around here that's a little bit separated out. The purple here, and of course her hair very much stands out, and stuff like that. But there were still a few places where the white was overlapping on the white here. That's why I erased this section of the veil when everything here is very much bright white. I decided to keep this a little bit more blue to separate all these white spots around the wings from other stuff, and then I kind of had to do something similar here because we have lots of white on the wings here, but these are all very different whites. So this one is brighter, and then we have the shadow here that kind of separates her arm from the wing. And there's no ambiguity on which is which, I don't think. So I got some of those things to help. And then I was also worried for a while of, like, would her head blend in too much with the sun behind her? I don't think it does. You can't really tell where her head starts very strongly. You can see some of it in the hair, but I just don't think it matters. And, like, a lot of the headpiece here kind of blends in there as well, but I think that looks really nice, so it's fine. It just makes it look even shinier, in my opinion. And then a few other areas I was worried about was like this sleeve against the white of the balcony, or her dress against the white of the balcony, but with a little bit of lighting magic. That ended up being fine, because so I very deliberately placed a shadow here, so that this way these whites would be very different. So she has the highlight going through here, the glowy part, right next to a shadow. So not only does that make her look brighter, because she's right next to a dark area, the contrast is very strong, but it also makes her silhouette super clear. So, you know, all just little things. Little things like that. I just wanted to make sure she was easy to see. And make sure she looks like she's glowing. I wanted her to glow and be nice and shiny. That's probably the biggest thing. And then I guess there's some small compositional things like triangles. I have quite a few in here. So the main focal point is, of course, around her face. And then the other one's kind of around her hand. And I use some of these contrast areas, like her arm here, to make a line right to the hand. So this way it's very clear. And then everything kind of goes back this way and back up to her head due to how the wings are pointing. I mentioned it while drawing the clouds, that everything is pointing to her. So these clouds are going this way. Over and this way too. The ring is pointing toward the hand. The mountains are kind of surrounding her, and the curtains are doing the same thing, kind of creating another triangle there. You're blurry in that pattern. I better fix that. Like I said, I'm probably going to find a few things here and there as I stare at it that I want to fix. That's normal. That's pretty normal. Have me stare at something for long enough and I'll find problems with it. It's a very human trait. So, you know, just some of those little compositional things, and they aren't always super obvious at the beginning. But as I'm arranging things, that is the kind of thing that I'm thinking about, and a lot of the times it doesn't come out until the end, and I think even at the very end, it's not even always very obvious. This is why art is black magic, you see? It's so arbitrary, and there's just lots of tiny things you do, and it's hard to figure out. It's a good way to be. Yeah, no, I think slapping the paint down's fine. It's a good way to be. Sometimes you just feel it out. Yeah, I think that's probably all I gotta talk about with this one. Lighting works. She's shiny. I like how transparent the sleeves look. It's great. So, yeah, I look forward to posting this one. I don't know what I'm going to talk about when I do the time lapse, but I'll think of something. I'm sure I can think of something related to what was going on in this one. Drawing is neat. Yeah, and I'm gonna start kinda mapping out what I want to talk about for tutorials, so if there's something you want to know, you know, just let me know. You can tell me here, you can tell me in the comments if you're not able to see it live, you know, whatever. It's all good. You can send me something in Marshmallow. Whatever works for you. At me on Twitter. I don't care. As long as I get the information. And I'll try to tailor things toward that. I get the feeling that what I talk about in my tutorials is going to be less how to draw X. Or how to do fundamental, like, I don't think that's what I'm going to do. But there's enough people out there that kind of talk about those things. And I don't think how to draw clouds or how to draw a horse or whatever is very useful. Because you draw everything basically the same way. So, yeah. I probably won't do anything super specific like that. But, you know, feel free to let me know what you're struggling with, and I'll do my best. Alright, well, there's still like 40 minutes here. I'm thinking about what I want to talk about. I suppose I could talk about the corpo she's with for a bit. I kind of like what I think Variance is trying to do, and honestly, I wish they'd go harder on it. But I kind of like the idea of there just being this whole world associated with this group of VTubers, and they just gradually tell you about it and kind of invite you into it. I think that there's probably a little bit more they could do with it, and that's kind of the direction that I think a lot of what I do might end up going. I think half of it is just going to be me rambling about topics I think are interesting, so, you know, art, brains, existential dread, space, you know, the usual. And, but I do also just like the big theater kid energy emanating from a lot of it, of going hard on the RP and stuff. I think it's super fun. I do. That's why I say sometimes I wish they'd go harder, because I feel like they're kind of falling into the usual trap where at the beginning the kayfabe is strong, the RP is strong, and after a while it kind of starts to fade a bit, and I've been going back and watching their VODs in chronological order. Yeah, I believe so. I still like what they're trying to do. I think their world is neat. I'm curious to see what they do later. What was I talking about? I guess I'm feeling more absent-minded than usual. I haven't been getting as much sleep. Lately, I've been having weird dreams. Yeah, I think it's interesting. But, oh yeah, I remember now. Where the RP was strong at the beginning, but it's... Now I'm a few months in. They've been going for about 6 months. I think I'm about 3 months in. Just watching through VODs when I have time. I generally have it in the background when I'm drawing stuff off stream. And, I do feel like the RP has been getting weaker. And that seems to happen a lot with a lot of YouTubers, because so much of what they talk about is related to their personal lives. And I'm wondering how necessary that is, because I don't talk about my personal life very much. I do sometimes. I think some of it is because I kind of felt like I was quote-unquote supposed to. It is. I don't think it has to be. I want more theater geek energy. People tell me to watch more Fuumoko, because apparently they go really hard on it. I intend to at some point. I intend to at some point. I'd like to kind of see how they are handling it. But yeah, I'm still kind of curious to see where they go. And what they want to do here. Amy Usami? Or is there a different Amy? Are we talking Phase Connect Amy, or... Okay. Haven't watched much of her. Yeah, she's one of the Phase Connect talents that yes, the crazy hamster. She's one of the ones that I'm less familiar with. I haven't watched her as much. It is. It's very fun. I like them. They have a few talents there that kind of showed some different things. Yeah, I haven't really watched Nanners either. I don't really watch very much on Twitch. Yeah. That's why I say that, I kind of, bounced off of VTubers initially. Strictly speaking, the first one I watched was, Kizuna Ai. But she was very heavy on the cute girls doing cute things, and so I didn't watch very much. I had a friend that was kind of into her. And then later I had a friend that was really into Callie. Calliope Mori. And, watched there for a little bit, but I am kind of less interested in music and the like. And it just felt like a lot of HoloLive stuff was girls that aren't super interested in playing video games, and just doing cute girls doing cute things, which I'm less into. I can appreciate a lot of their music and whatnot. They do seem genuinely passionate about that. It's just not strong on my interest there, so I kind of ended up bouncing again. And then I ended up finding Phase Connect and watching Pippo ramble about weird internet culture and some of the weird stuff she's done with AI, and just she really cared about like everything she was doing. She's still not super into video games, of course. I still kind of get that impression, with few exceptions. I get a different impression when she's playing perhaps Mabinogi or some really weird stuff. I mean most VTubers play at least a little gacha. So, and I mean, I should be clear, when I say don't really care about video games, I don't mean that they don't like video games or that, they don't enjoy video games. I do feel that way about some, where I can tell that they're probably not super interested in video game content, but make it because it's kind of expected. Pippa's not one of those. I do think that she probably does have an actual gaming hobby. But it doesn't really extend beyond super casual hobby. And that's where it's all kind of hard to describe. And part of it is just because I am like interested in video games as an art form, as a medium. I went to school for game design, like literally, and so sometimes seeing people that just are not really interested in games trying to pretend like they are makes me sad. Like the example that I use, I saw someone playing Subnautica once, and while some exposition was happening and they were listening to someone talk, they were trying to talk to chat. And they said, you know, shut up, I'm trying to talk about food here. And that kind of thing just makes me very sad. So, this is very much a me problem. I take them a little bit more seriously than I think a lot of people do. I don't think I'm necessarily unhealthy about it. But when it came to watching people, the game mattered more than the personality to me. And seeing people just not at all interested in the game that they were playing made me a little bit sad. So I kind of ended up bouncing there. But then, I started seeing enough people that did stuff that they actually cared about. I mentioned Pippa and her weird internet culture and some of the neat stuff she's done with AI and stuff like that. I liked Rudy Ruse and her just raw theater kid energy. I actually think she probably likes Resident Evil more than is healthy. But... So I started seeing other things, and then there were... Yes. And then... So I started seeing more options. It kind of also is like how... art streams are generally Zatsudan with extra steps. But I think there's space to actually talk about art a little bit more in them. So that's why I do it. So I don't know. That's why I say, finding out who I am, it's hard. And that's why I can't just be myself. It's like, who does that anyway? Literally no one. Who even is the self? Philosophers have been arguing about this for centuries. Even major religions don't agree. Who the hell knows? So, I'm still trying to... what I care about, what I want to do. It's all very interesting. I think I'm finding it, but I don't... Now I just have to take some of the stuff that I've been figuring out and figure out how to turn them into, like, 30-second shorts, and I kind of hate it. How do you talk about the awe of space in 10 seconds? More accurately, I think it's more that I just kind of have to get going, and I'm probably just going to have to go in long-winded rambles to myself at some point and cut it up. That's basically what I do on stream, so maybe someday I should actually go and watch my VODs and figure out how to turn them into shorts. I don't know, man. Life is hard. Streaming-wise, I actually am a lot happier with what I've been making. Yeah, that's about what I got. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm trying to kind of figure out good things I can do there. So... I mean, you gotta play the game sometimes. I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm relatively happy with what I'm doing. Maybe there's some things I could tweak, but it's minor. So that's why I say I've been trying to grow the channel, and I don't know how, and life is hard. Twitter, how does this even work? I don't even know if Twitter does work. I just recently realized that there was a mentions tab, so this is how much of a freaking boomer I am with these things. So. But, if I want to get noticed, I probably do have to play the game to some extent. And I need to figure out how to do that. I don't know how, and it's hard, and life is hard. I try not to complain about these things too much, but it always kind of slips out. I wish being good at art was good enough, but I'm pretty sure it's not. I've seen some artists that I think are just fantastic. That just do not get very much attention. And it's a little sad. I'm not even talking about myself here, just other people. That I think are possibly even better than me. Like, oh man, there's some really pretty stuff out there. I wish there was more time to see it all. I do. It'd be great. But it's okay. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to find a way to adapt. Barely. I would occasionally use it to join role-playing sites, but when it comes to actual, like, Discord use, no clue. And hello there, Soulcat. Welcome. Yeah, I think they're pretty cool. They go high in the theater kid energy, which is the kind of thing that I've been looking for in VTubers lately. So I like some of the acting end as opposed to the singing end. And yeah, this picture is done. I just finished it off today, so, you know, next time I'll be starting a new image. The next time I work on this block will be Saturday. I will be streaming tomorrow, but it's going to be a game as opposed to art. So Saturday is going to be when I start the next one, and starting a new picture is always like the most exciting thing to stream for me. So so I hope everyone enjoys. But nonetheless, you know, enjoy the shiny finished picture. I'll post it out on the internet eventually. I'd like to get the time-lapse done first, and I'm trying to do voiceovers for my time-lapses now. Oh. And I have another one to make before I do this one. It might be but I say a little bit, it'll probably just like a week. But it'll come. But yeah, I don't know how to socialize on Discord either. Big servers scare me. I've joined a few, and I've kind of always been that way. I've been very lurky. Krita has a tool. It's the little thumbtack button over on the side here. So you click that, then you go into tool options, and you click the little plus sign here, and that's how you add it. If you use a different program, I know basically nothing about other programs, so... Oh no, this is not Clip Studio Paint. I'm sure Clip Studio Paint has a way to do it, but I have never touched the program, so I don't know how to do it. You can probably Google it on how to put reference images out there. I'd be very surprised if CSP does not have that ability. Oh, it is nice to bask in the glow of a finished picture. I see. Really? That seems kind of surprising to me. It seems like a very basic feature. But like I said, I wouldn't know. I have never touched Clip Studio Paint, so... I would not know. I like Krita though. I think it's a good little program. And also free, so... I see. Very nice. I like it. I just haven't really felt the need to switch. I haven't seen any features in CSP that I'm super interested in. The 3D models at best. But, I don't know. I've been preferring to draw without them, if I'm being honest. I think it probably slows me down, but I like doing it, so it's fine. And I got my hard round brush, and that's like all I need. Good old, what's it called? Basic 5 size. Yeah, I think so. It does basically everything I want. I can't actually really think of anything that I wish it had. Well, no, there was one thing, but I found a plugin for it. That would be the ability to center things on the canvas, and yeah, there's a plugin built for that, so I have that now. And that's the only feature that I ever really wanted. maybe a bit more things that or being able to use the line tool with the multi-brush. That'd be kind of cool too, but fairly minor things. I've just been making a personal point to use more free and open source stuff, because there's a lot of pretty nice things out there. So, free, preferably open source. Also, I'm a cheapskate, so there you go. I just kind of like the idea of using more things put out by people that just want something to exist, as opposed to financial incentive things. I just kind of look at what happened to Adobe, and I'm like, I think that's gonna happen to most places, especially if they're publicly traded. So, little community projects like this I think they're pretty cool. They can also go kind of south when they get big, but overall, I don't know. It sounds nice in my head, so I'm kind of rolling with it. All right. Well, I think I will. Oh, you can do that with Krita too. Yeah, you can liquefy multiple layers at once. Watch. I go here, and then I just... Let's just pick my curtains layers, which you can see has many layers in it. I just liquefy, and ta-da! It'll lag for a second, but there you go. All of it liquefied. Yeah, so you can do that. I don't know. It's been there since I started using it several years ago. Well, yeah, you've been able to do that for a while. You don't even have to put them in a group. You can just use Control-Click to select multiple layers and then liquefy them like that. I do that all the time. Although if I'm doing it like that, I'm less likely to liquefy and more likely to just use for your perspective transforms. But yeah, you can use any transform like that. That's why I say I haven't seen any feature that CSP has that Krita does not that I'm actually interested in. It's okay. CSP is a good program. Everyone should use the program they prefer. I don't think the program matters that much, which is part of the reason I went with the free one. But, you know, it is a good program, unironically. And if it's the one you feel the most comfortable with, it's the one you should use. That's the way I see it. I do think it more has to do with just what feels comfortable. Oh. I'm trying to think if there's any particular feature I'd even want added here. Is there anything that would be really nice to have? I can't actually think of anything off the top of my head. Like I said, the 3D models maybe the ability to import something from Blender or something. But otherwise, you know, I'm not really sure. And even then, I don't think I'd use that ability, so... Because I hate 3D modeling. Yeah, I really wouldn't be. I'm not sure what they're working on right now. Yeah, Blender integration would be pretty sweet. There's a lot of weird tool elitism out there, but I don't know. People just get weird about the weirdest things. It's human nature. It's fine. But yeah, even here, it's like I'm still just struggling to come up with any kind of feature that I'd want to add. I guess I've seen some neat stuff in Photoshop, but I don't think that they're really trying to be a photo editing program, so that'd probably be more something for like GIMP or the like. And I'm not necessarily sure how much of it would help with painting, given a lot of it is kind of editing adjacent. Yeah, I really can't think of anything that I see elsewhere that I really want. It's like I know CSP just released that natural color mixing thing, but I don't really care about that either. Like, it's kind of interesting. It sounds like kind of a cool gimmick, and maybe a thing that'll help traditional painters integrate to digital. I think it's kind of neat. But I've always been digital, so I'm really, really used to just how colors mix digitally. So yeah, even then, I'm not quite sure if I would ever use that. Well, we have Inkscape. I guess it wouldn't hurt to have it here. That's kind of the thing with open source tools. But we'll say this a lot, where it's just like, oh yeah, we could do this, but like this other tool already exists, so why would we invest in that instead of something unique to this one? Hard to say. I mean, maybe. I don't personally use vectors, so it wouldn't really affect my workflow. Might help some people, though. This is why I'm thinking, for me personally, it's like, is there anything that I would add that I would actually be interested in using? Anything that I feel like is missing? I really can't think of it. If I strain my brain hard enough, maybe I could think of something, but it already kind of does everything I want, so this is why I've never felt the need to switch. Other than maybe mild curiosity on what everything else does a little bit differently. Yeah, I don't know, man. Oh, I think I'm just, you know, happy with the program I use, so yay! No need to force myself to be unhappy, let's just be happy. Everyone should be happy with the program that they use. It's a good way to be. And we could enjoy all the shiny things we can make in them. Like, you know, something that's super purple, because purple is fantastic. I like purple, and I like this. I like her character design. It's a really nice character design. It was fun to draw her. I've drawn her a couple of times now. This was technically the first one, but I finished it later. Now I have a second one that I have posted up there, and it's... her design is fun to draw. Like most VTubers, basically everything is on her head, so... Man, I'm so allergic to spending money, it would make me throw up. But yeah, you know, maybe you're right. Maybe we are supposed to argue about which program is better based on small arbitrary things we never actually use. You know, good point. My bad. Look, man, I just want my hard round brush. Maybe a nice airbrush. Yeah, those are literally the only two brushes I used to draw this. No, there was a third. I used Starfield for the stars, some of the stars in the background. Only some of them, though. The big ones were a hard round brush. And then the clouds were airbrush. And then the glow in the sun here was a Gaussian blur with airbrush. So there we go. It's true. I used 3 brushes. Truly, I'm betraying myself with my hard round brush. Actually, it's going to be even worse for the next one I do because I want to do some soft shading. So I'm probably going to be using, like, so much airbrush and opacity brush and barely any hard round brush. It's going to feel weird. It's going to feel weird, man. It depends on your view on how that works. So I started drawing probably a good 20 years ago, but then I would only draw off and on, and like I would go entire years without drawing. And then I recently started taking it much more seriously. That was probably, what, 4 years ago? 3 or 4 years ago at this point. So I'd say I've only been going hard for about 3 or 4 years, and everything else is I just kind of drew when I felt like it. Often going multiple years without drawing anything. So, there we go. Surprisingly complicated question. A long time. Very long time. You can make a lot of progress real fast if you just set aside time to do it. I don't think it even has to be every day. Like, naturally you'll go faster if you do it every day. But I don't think you have to do it every day. As long as there is some dedicated time on a regular basis. Well, alright, I suppose I should start winding down a little bit. I've got to go soon. Probably still got about 15 minutes at most. I see. Yeah, art is fun. It's like sometimes it can get real frustrating, but it is a very good time. And, you know, I think my life has been better since I started dedicating time to it. And, I mean, for most people, it's like, for me, I'd say drawing is primary. But I've been doing some other things kind of secondary, so, like, writing and some stuff. I'm also trying to do more game development stuff. It's been a long time. I miss it. But, I think just setting aside time for things that you actually want to do and forcing yourself to do it. It sounds weird when I put it like that, but it can be easy to get caught up in the speed of life and just everything you feel like you have to do that you kind of set your hobbies to the wayside. So I think being deliberate and actually taking some time to do it on a regular basis, you know, probably at least weekly, it's good. It'll make you feel better. Even if it's maybe more stressful for the short term, it'll make you feel. It's just the kind of thing that makes you feel happy. So, my life has certainly improved since I've started doing more art-related things, and I am really glad that I started this stream because it's... Even when I get tired, I come up and I do some art-related things. It is very easy to get discouraged, yes. I'm in one of those states myself right now. But you know, it's okay. It's okay. It'll get better. I've been thinking about why it's so hard lately. That's probably something I can do a really long ramble about. But, you know, just the TLDR is... It's really hard to find objective quality in art. Or determine an quality objectively. Like, when I was at my job and I made a tool for someone or an automated test for our software, I could tell pretty much right away, did I succeed in this task or did I fail at this task? For, you know, automated tests, it was super easy. Does this test the thing? Does it catch any bugs before we push them out to customers? Does it take a really long time to run? Does it work? You know, everything like that. But when drawing a nice picture, you know, there's really no such thing. I described what I wanted to do with this picture a little bit earlier. Just, you know, purple's fantastic. A lot of it was, I feel like one of the things that Variance Project is doing is kind of inviting people into the world that they've made there. And so I wanted to make it look like Leia here was, you know, reaching out and telling you to come on in. Come check out the neat world. It's very cool. And I thought that suited them very well. And then I wanted her to make it look like she was glowing. And I think I did those things. So even though I'm just like, man, I kind of hate everything I do right now, I figure if I try to look at those objective qualities, I could feel a little bit better. But again, it's hard to know, is this good or is this bad? If I asked 100 people, I'd probably get 100 different answers. Unless I, you know, just answered it like a yes or no question. But it's hard, man. There's really no objectivity to it at all, so it's hard to know if you succeeded or failed, and thus sometimes my mind just spirals into weird doubt and confusion, and it's rough out there, man. But it kind of comes to the territory. I think this is why, throughout history, the vast majority of artists have just been a little bit insane. Maybe more than a little bit. I just think the insanity kind of comes with the territory. I don't think it's a bad thing. It is what it is. You gotta take the good with the bad. And just acknowledge that, you know, you're gonna go a little bit insane sometimes. It's okay. It'll make your art better. I say that like there's any real objective quality to it, but it's fine. Because I do find every time that I get in one of these states where I'm just like, my god, I hate everything. And yes, embrace your Van Gogh, it's perfect. But yes, every time I get in one of these states where I just hate everything. When I was a baby artist, that would be where I would like stop drawing for a long period of time because I'm just like, oh my god, I hate it. And I keep trying and I just hate it. But now I know that is when the growth happens. Because I can see more problems now, and that's what will happen, so I just have to keep drawing through it. And someday I'll draw something I'd like again, and it'll be fantastic. And it'll feel great, and I just won't feel insecure about everything anymore. I look forward to that day. I do. But okay, I gotta head out now. I gotta pick up my daughter from school soon. So I think I'll go ahead and stop here for today. You know, we got finished picture, time lapse coming eventually. Hopefully soon. Soon TM. The one of BB Biscuit, the one I finished before this one, will come before then, and I'll do a ramble on how about style and what it is, and maybe how to find it, and it'll be great. So hopefully that'll come, you know, this week or early next week. We'll see how long it takes me to record things. But that'll be coming soon. And then yesterday I uploaded a short on a recent off-stream drawing, and another one will probably come out tomorrow or the next day. We'll see how that works out. But yes, I will go ahead and stop here. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you're able to make something wonderful today too. You're welcome. And I will see you all tomorrow. So for new people here, I do stream every day. I do one drawing 3 days a week, another drawing 2 days a week, and then games 2 days a week, because games are great. And I am also into game development and stuff, so I talk about how they're made and mechanics and cool stuff. So yes, I do stream at this time every day. So feel free to stop by if you'd like to see some more stuff. And I'll be starting a new picture on Saturday, and that's always very exciting for me. Probably the most exciting streams in my opinion. But, I'll see y'all tomorrow.